What's good, everyone? Infamous Legacy here, back at it again with another Marvel's Avengers build video. And in this build video, I'm going to be showing you guys a broken Black Widow melee build. So this is the Lightning Fist build, and trust me, when I'm talking about broken, update 2.6 that came to the game broke this. And hopefully, if they do nerf some of this, you guys can still probably use this build, because I'm just hoping they don't nerf the damage by so much. But you guys watch the clips, and trust me, I'm going to walk you guys through on where to get the gear, how to get them, and also show you guys what skills I use with this Black Widow Lightning Fist build. So let's go! Alright everyone, let's have a look at the stats right now. So when it comes to the stats with my Black Widow Lightning Fist build, I'm actually focusing more towards that melee and heroic rating, which consists of might and valor gear. However, you guys can also focus on the melee range and heroic rating if you want an all-around DPS type build, and that'll focus on gear with might, valor, and precision. Keep in mind though, if you do focus on that might, valor, and precision type gear, you're probably going to be losing a little bit of your defense. However, with Black Widow's support ability of going invisible, that ability will help you avoid damage from enemy attacks. So losing a little defense might be alright, but it's up to you on whichever stats you guys want to really focus on. So again, you guys can focus on your melee and heroic rating with might and valor gear, or you can focus on your melee range and heroic rating with might, valor, and precision type gear. And the last thing is, when it comes to this gear, I want you guys to pay attention to the assault heroic charge rate that you see on the right side of my screen under hero stats. So the assault heroic charge rate is basically recharging your heroics as much as you want with that assault heroic ability called Widow's Bite. So assault heroic charge rate 32.5%. So this basically means that I'll be able to spam Widow's Bite as much as I want, because with this build you will be able to get your heroics back as fast as possible. So you will be spamming your heroics, and when it comes to this Lightning Fist build, that will be using Widow's assault ability called Widow's Bite. So this build has crazy DPS, potential, and also the ability to get your heroics back fast as possible. Now that I've broken down the stats for you guys, let's go ahead to the gear, showcase to you guys what gear I use and where to get the gear. Moving on to the gear right now. So before I showcase to you guys what gear I use and where to get the gear, I want to give a huge shout out to my UK Avengers, RJordie, NateAce, DJ Koal. These guys have been pillars of the community when it comes to finding offline dates. I know RJordie has a Discord, which I have a link in the description for. If you guys want to check it out, he posts a lot of offline dates in that Discord, along with a lot of the community members in the Discord. And then we have NateAce and DJ Koal that have been providing offline dates for gear and artifacts as well on Twitter. I will leave a link to all their socials in the description, so make sure you give huge respects to them. They've been so helpful to the community when it comes to building heroes, and without them, honestly, it would be so hard to find the gear pieces you really want for your heroes. So big ups to them. Now moving on to the gear that I use, we're going to start with the major artifact like we always do. Couple options right here. I'm using the Tachygen just for that increased status damage. However, you guys can go with the Sacred Nornstone of Lethal Will for increased duration of damage buffs and getting a 12% increased critical chance while a damage boost is active. Or you can use a Dark Hold if you really want to get your heroics back fast as possible. So those are the major artifacts: Dark Hold, Sacred Nornstone of Lethal Will, or Tachygen. Now, when it comes to the minor artifacts, I have offline dates for these, so I will provide in the description below and also in the comments. With the Valor artifacts, you want to make sure they come with Assault Assistance, because this is very beneficial on getting your Assault Heroic ability fast as possible. And this will help you spam that Assault Heroic ability as much as you want. So this comes with triple Valor. And if it can come with a second perk of improving my light combo finishers or my ultimate heroic abilities, that will definitely be useful. However, at this time, I only have Powerful Impulse, which increases the stun meter buildup from power attacks. But eventually, I'm hoping I can get that second perk that will help me increase my power attack damage or my light combo finisher damage. So minor artifacts here, if you guys are not offline date farmers, you guys can actually go to the Pacific Northwest vendor that has those artifacts, or the Anthill Outpost vendor, and you have to just check every day, because there is a chance they might carry these artifacts with similar perks. So check that out every day after daily reset. So those are the minor artifacts. Moving on to the heroic piece. So with this heroic piece, I actually got it from the Helicarrier vendor, Roy. So if you check every day after daily reset, there is a chance you might have this heroic piece with the exact same stats. However, I do have an offline date for this as well, if you don't want to be, checking every day, just to make it easier for you guys. But this heroic piece right here comes with Might, Precision, and Valor. The reason I love this piece is because of the stealth assistance. 3% increased heroic charge rate when invisibility is active. So when you use your support heroic ability, you're going to have an increased charge rate by 3.2% to recharge your heroics. It also comes with Assault Empowerment. 50% chance activating your Widow's Bite grants that intrinsic burst. And then it comes with Berserker Spark. So this is a really useful perk, because when you're landing 16 consecutive attacks, let's say using your pistols or full auto, without taking any damage, you're going to get a heroic charge burst that'll regenerate a lot of your heroic energy with your heroic abilities. So very useful piece right here. So again, you can get it from the Helicarrier from Roy, or you can use the offline date that I'll be providing, and check that out as well. Now, the next gear pieces are all from the Discordant Sound Elite Raid, and a couple of them are from the regular raid. This one you can get from the Discordant Sound Regular or Elite Raid. This came with Precision, Valor, and Resilience. I honestly would have preferred Might and Valor, because I definitely want to make sure this type of build is solely focused on Might and Valor, but I'll eventually probably get that in the future. But the important part of this gear piece is the second perk, Reverberation Breaker. Inflict 25% additional damage to enemies afflicted by active vibranium status. So your guys are probably thinking, where are you getting your vibranium status from? Well, I'm getting the vibranium status from my range piece, which causes vibranium status from my pistol shot and full auto range attacks. So that's where I'm getting it from. And then, if you guys weren't aware, the Widow's Bite applies shock damage. So combining shock and vibranium together, that creates an automatic battery effect, and that battery effect creates some crazy DPS numbers like you guys saw in those clips. So that's this defensive slot that I have. Again, Discordant Sound Regular Raid, Elite Raid, and also the Corrupted Vibranium event. You guys can get it from there as well. Moving on, so this piece is strictly only from the Discordant Sound Elite Raid. It comes with Might, Resilience, and Valor. It can also come with Precision and Valor, Might, Precision, and Valor as well. The reason I love this piece is because it does Vibranium status with Pistol Shot and Full Auto, which are your quickest range attacks. And then you have Spectre's Terror, guaranteed chance of landing a critical hit when attacking an enemy from behind while invisible. So that's a really good perk there, especially when you're invisible and you're attacking an enemy from behind. And then it comes with Faultless Buff. 21.8% chance you know, hitting an enemy with a melee attack will grant you a damage buff. So very useful right there. And obviously when I'm fighting enemies, I'm using a combination of applying that vibranium status first with my range attacks, and then I'll strictly go into my melee attacks to create that battery effect damage, and then use my lightning fist heroic ability. So with the range piece as well, you guys can go for high caliber. The reason I didn't go with high caliber is because of the Berserker Spark I have on the heroic piece. It is difficult to land 16 consecutive hits with high caliber, so that's the reason why I mostly went with the pistol shot and full auto. However, if you have pistol shot and high caliber dealing vibranium stats, that's fine as well. You can either use pistol shot or full auto to apply your vibranium status. And then if your gear piece has that perk of high caliber dealing vibranium status, then you can use that as like a range attack to deal, you know, status damage or filling up that status meter on your enemies fast as possible. Because from my understanding and from the testing I've done, majority of the range attacks can apply status pretty quickly. But with the Berserker Spark, pistol shot and full auto will help you get that heroic charge burst quick as possible. So again, with this range piece, it only comes from the Discordant Sound Elite raid because of that first perk. You can run the regular raid and the Corrupted Vibranium event to get the second and third perk, but the first perk won't be Spectre's Terror, just to give you guys, you know, some awareness about that. Last but not least, Valor and Might on the melee piece. This comes with Sonic status and also the Lethal Vibranium Conduit. If you guys are not aware of how Sonic conduits work, I will provide a link in the description to a full breakdown of that, so you guys can check that out. The most important perk of this piece is not just because of the Valor and Might stats, because it does help my melee and Valor rating, my Might and Valor rating, but it's the third perk that you really want to pay attention to, and that's Stealth Breaker. 15% increased damage when invisibility is active. So the setup that I'm running right now when I'm fighting enemies is I'll use my range piece to apply that status damage. Also make sure I activate my, Tachygen. Once that vibranium status is full and your enemy's glowing purple, what I would do is I will use invisibility, my support heroic ability, and then I'll use my power surge ability, because we already know invisibility due to these gear perks and power surge will increase your damage that you're putting out. And then I'll use lightning fist or widow's bite, whatever you want to call it, to deal that crazy damage. So that's how the setup goes when I'm DPSing, but it's based on, again, the gear. So again, this piece right here, you guys can actually get it from the Discordant Sound regular raid, elite raid, or corrupted vibranium. Just make sure it does come with at least Sonic, light combo finishers, or even if you want, you can even get it with vibranium. Vibranium's pretty useful, especially when you're running the raid. And also make sure the perk is Stealth Breaker as a third one, because that will help you increase your damage while invisible. So again, let's go through the gear. So we got the melee piece, we got the range piece, we got the defensive piece, and then we got the heroic piece. Another option though you guys can use for the defensive slot is, let's see if I have it, this one right here. This only comes from the Discordant Sound Elite raid. However, the stats I have on this is horrible. But the reason why this piece is really good is because it also has Stealth Breaker on it, which increases your damage while invisible by 15%. But I prefer to use this because of Reverberation Breaker, because I'm going to be applying that vibranium status first on enemies, and that'll give me 25% additional damage to those enemies rather than, that 15% increased damage while invisible. But, that's just a secondary option for you guys if you do have it with better stats, and you guys can try testing that out. But I personally, again, like using this one. And then also the artifacts right here, quick overview. So that is the gear. I told you guys where to get the gear. Now let's go ahead and move into the skills and show you guys what skills I use when it comes to this Black Widow broken Lightning Fist build. Time to look at skills right now. So when it comes to skills, make sure you are at level 50 to have all your skills in the primary, specialty, and mastery unlocked. So please make sure you're at level 50 because this build will help you only if you're at level 50 and you have at least a high combat power to run certain missions to get the gear. Moving on now to specialty. Support heroic abilities. So this is where you go invisible, Veil of Shadows. So I use Dark Thorn because this is strictly a DPS type build. 420% increased damage to nearby enemies when activating Veil of Shadows. This thing right here is just crazy. And then the crazy thing about this is when you apply that Vibranium status and your enemy is going purple, the Dark Thorn also applies some sort of shock damage and it creates that battery effect where you do some insane damage. So make sure you spec into that. Another option is you guys can actually spec into Shadow's Gift if you want to be getting your heroics back fast as possible. So enemies defeated by Veil of Shadows have a 35% chance of dropping heroic orbs. So this will help you recharge your heroic abilities. And then the next skill I have right here is Mortal Cloak. Increase the critical attack chance for teammates cloaked by Veil of Shadows by 30%. Now the main component of this video is Lightning Fist, and that is your Widow's Bite Assault Heroic ability. So make sure you spec into Lightning Fist. And this also helps you increase the charge rate of your Assault Heroic charge meter. And then I have Invigorating Bite. Defeating at least one enemy with Widow's Bite will recharge your heroic energy by like 20% for that Assault Heroic ability. So these two things go hand in hand. And then we have the ultimate heroic ability. So when I'm usually fighting enemies, I'm using melee attacks. I'm usually in my power surge. So I'm always using the staff. And the staff also deals shock damage with special light and heavy attack finishers. And then you guys can also see Power Surge also provides a 15% reduction to incoming damage, which is pretty beneficial for your defense. And I've spec'd into this. Increased damage of Widow's Bite while Power Surge is active by 20%. So this goes well with this. And then with this part right here, you can really switch it up. I've spec'd into increasing the damage resistance to 30%. Or you can go into Power Grid, extend the duration of Power Surge by 4 seconds. Or you can go with this, increase the stun damage when Power Surge is active by 30%. So when an enemy's stunned, that just makes it easier for you guys to do takedowns on those enemies. And then they will spawn heroic orbs. And that'll make it easier to recharge your heroics. But I personally just like going with this because of that damage resistance. Moving on to Mastery. And it seems like I didn't have anything here spec'd into, which was crazy. But whatever. So I like using this right here, Intrinsic Charge. Then I have Overcharge Critical, increase critical damage while overcharged. And you guys already know, I've explained it in so many build videos. What does Overcharge mean? Overcharge means when that intrinsic meter under your health bar is completely full and it's kind of blinking. That's what Overcharge is. And then we have Heroic Overcharge, increase the rate of which heroic energy recharges while overcharged by 15%. Range now. Hazard Grenade, nothing really to pay attention right here. It's really up to you guys what you want to do here, but you're not really using this attack, so it's all good. If you're using this attack, you can use one of these things. So the grenades can either apply Cryo, Plasma, or Shock. I went with Shock. And then we have Pistol Specialization. Since I am trying to spam my full auto or pistol shot or even let's say high caliber fast as possible, I want to make sure I can reload the ammo quick. So this helps with increasing the reload speed by 15%. And then we have the mastery part of invisibility. Invisible status, increase all status damage while invisible by 20%. Very good right there. Invisible recharge, heroic energy recharges 50% faster while invisible. So again, something beneficial to your heroics. And then critical damage, increase critical damage while invisible by 15%. So even within your skills, you will have a 15% increase in critical attack damage while invisible. And then we'll go to utility. Heroic takedown mastery. So you guys want to make sure you spec into this because every time you perform a takedown, you'll get a heroic orb. And then I have increased range attack damage by 10%. The reason I have that is because there's not really any like melee type damage. The headshot one is really good if you're using high caliber, but I like just using the increased range attacks. But again, I'm not really using range attacks. I'm just using it to apply status. And then melee specialization. Light and heavy attacks boost the energy of all heroic meters by 5%. So all around, with the gear, with the skills, Black Widow is able to get her heroics back pretty quickly just because of the type of setup that I have going and also the type of setup I have with the gear. So it's very good when it comes to, you know, getting your heroics back and also doing some insane damage when it comes to this build. Last but not least, the champion system. So I haven't really grinded the Black Widow champion system, but I'm just going to show you guys what to spec into first. Definitely you want to spec into your defense because you want to make sure you have some decent defense. Then I would go with the heroic charge rate because this will also help with your heroics being recharged faster. Perk chance is also pretty good if you want to really spec into this. And then I'll go into critical chance boost, critical damage boost, and then status and stun damage boost. And then you can worry about combat boost for last. So that is the champion system. This is the mastery. This is a specialty. That's the end of this Black Widow Lightning Fist melee build, hybrid build, whatever you want to call it, or whatever you want to build it as. This is the build that you want to use if you want to create that crazy damage. And also, the crazy thing about this build is this build will probably get patched eventually. But I hope they don't nerf the damage by so much. But this build will still be beneficial if you want to really go for a Lightning Fist type melee build or a Lightning Fist type hybrid build. And also a fun fact for you guys is Black Widow was actually the first hero I put out a Marvel's Avengers build video for when that gamma status effect was OP back in the days. And this is my 100th video on my YouTube channel. So, you know, we came full circle. The 100th video, Black Widow build. You guys already know the vibes. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will leave timestamps in the description and also in the comments so you guys can skip to any part of the video that you would like. But show your support by hitting that like and subscribe button. We're still growing. We're still grinding. And that's the vibes. And I hope you guys have a great day. You guys take care. I'm out. Peace.